thewellnesscouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives.
Welcome to 100 Not Out, featuring your hosts Dr. Damien Christoph and Marcus Pearce.
Hello and welcome to 100 Not Out, a weekly show dedicated to helping you master the art of aging well. My name is Marcus Pearce and here I am with the co-founder of The Wellness Couch and The Wellness Guys. He is the innovator himself. He's Dr. Damien Christoph. Hello, pal.
Marcus Pearce, how wonderful is this? Welcome to my home.
I feel so relaxed.
100 Not Out HQ.
It's incredible. No one's ever seen 100 Not Out HQ from this angle.
No, and we're in our grandpa chairs. We're aging well. We're 100 Not Out and aging well. Look at this, hey?
This feels...
Oh, that's beautiful, these chairs.
I feel so regal.
Do you?
Do you feel regal?
Yeah. Cross legs, sitting back in a big chair.
Absolutely.
It's nice.
Absolutely.
For those of you who are listening, you have no idea what we're talking about.
So
if you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see us sitting in a chair next to a fireplace. We'll light that fire later on.
You know what? I mean, not that we're like totally into ourselves or anything, but I think that if people are listening to this, I'm going to just put it out there and say, I think 100 Not Out TV is better than a lot of the TV that is out there. So if you're having, a cup of tea, a piece of chocolate or a glass of wine at night and nothing's on TV, I would say flick over to YouTube if you've got a smart TV, because smart TVs have YouTube, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Look at the 100 Not Out archives, see 100 Not Out HQ, see the regalness that Damo and I have the opportunity to sit on. But I call you the innovator.
Yeah,
right?
what's that all about?
Well, look, let's be clear. You are the brains and the inspiration, part of the brains and the inspiration behind The Wellness Couch. True. You started a podcast when they were, I can't even say they were unpopular, they were almost unheard of.
Yeah.
You innovated.
Yeah.
And then you innovated by bringing the digital experience to life, and that's when I came on board, when you're like, MP, we've got the digital thing down pat, we want to do events, we want to reach out to people. But the reason why I say that is because we are coming up to our 5th Wellness Summit.
Yeah.
Our 4th in Melbourne. I'm not coming at this from an ego perspective. I'm coming at this from a high level of fulfillment, that it is so exciting that, as I've said to you guys in terms of what we're doing with the summit, we're playing a big game. There's going to be there's going to be upwards of 700 people at this year's Wellness Summit. There were 700 there last year,
yep.
And it's almost upon us. And so I just thought, people often ask questions about the summit. They want to know more about it. And I thought, look, we're here at 100 Not Out HQ. The summit is almost here. Let's have a chat as this event gets closer. We get more excited. The people that are attending get more excited. There's people that can't come. They're either international, they've got things on, and they want to know what it's like in the lead up to an event. And that's why you're the innovator, because without your innovation, the Wellness Summit would not be here.
Oh, thanks, mate. Well, I think it's always been a group collaborative effort. We've had, obviously, Lawrence and Brett, yourself, myself, we've always worked on this together. So it's definitely, it's not an individual's,
No.
effort. It's a team effort, and this will be the best wellness summit that we've ever had.
And some people go, you guys just say that every year.
Well, every year it does get better.
Yeah, and this is
every year.
The ideas come up. We always discuss, how can this year's summit be better than last year's summit? What do we change? What do we keep the same?
Yeah,
what did people like? What didn't people like? And all of the rest of it. And that's why we say that, a lot of the speakers might be similar. I mean, there's that core group of Up for a Chat, the Wellness Guys, Inside the Champion's Mind, 100 Not Out, and the rest of it.
Yep.
But also, the other thing is that last year in 2015, there were 13 podcasts on the couch. This year there's 22.
That's right.
In 2013, there were 6 podcasts on the couch. And in 2012...
2.
Yeah, there were 2.
It wasn't even a couch. It's like 2 chairs.
The wellness chair doesn't quite have the same punch as the wellness couch.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And it is ever expanding. But so's the consciousness around wellness.
Yeah.
And so's the amount of information about wellness too.
That's a wonderful point. You've been in this industry for so long. I feel like when I came onto the couch, again, what was it, 2013 maybe, that it was growing into an obsessive space. And I still think for a lot of people, health and wellness has become obsessive. And when I say obsessive, not in a magnificent obsession, almost in a stressful obsession.
Yep.
Do you feel like in terms of the way wellness has trended, I suppose, that manic obsession is beginning to beginning to lower? Or do you maybe feel that that's the case because you and I are beginning to make shifts in our own life? Where do you think the trend is going as we come into our 5th summit?
It's really interesting because just speaking to some of the speakers that will be at this year's summit, we've all got a really similar theme. And there's been lots of trends, lots of ebbs and flows within wellness, lots of extreme approaches to health and well-being. And I think we're starting to find a middle ground.
Yeah. What do you think that is, if you're happy to share? Because I think people would love to know. I mean, we could say we're not going to tell you, but I think it's important to know what we're all thinking about our own personal journeys in health and wellness.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of learnings that, particularly around what we've discovered on 100 Not Out, particularly around aging. And so then the conversations, I suppose, are somewhat directed towards the questioning and the reasoning behind why would we choose to be living a very well life, whether it be through exercise, mindset, mindfulness, food, what movement, whatever it's going to be. Why do we want to be so extreme with it? So what's the eventual outcome? Is it that we don't want to die? No? Do we want to live forever?
Yeah.
Is it we want to decrease the risk of disease? Do we want to decrease morbidity? What actually is it that we're doing all of this for?
Yeah.
Is it just so we can put another feather in our cap or put another notch in our belt?
Yes.
Or what is it? What's the reason that we're trying to live this wellness life? And I suppose that primary questioning should shape and could shape the direction to which these talks are going this year. And certainly what I'll be talking about this year will revolve around, what is it that is totally essential to be doing, and what would be the reason why you would do those things. So we've learned through this podcast what's essential for longevity. We've learned potentially, in the wellness guys, we've understood what are the different things you can do for different problems, whether it be, say, gastrointestinal health problems or skin issues or fitness issues or whatever. But for you and I, the understanding around longevity, which has been my primary goal, is to live a long time and to live an amazing, life. The wellness, the understanding of wellness and the reason why we do wellness is probably shifting a little bit.
Yeah, I really love what you're talking about. And I'd love, if you're listening or watching this right now, I think Damo is really asking the question, like, why are you doing what you're doing? Like, why are you going paleo, or why are you going CrossFit, or why are you meditating? And there's no wrong. It's not wrong to do any of them. But do you feel like that a lot of people have been, for want of a better term, running around like a headless chook, doing what is fad and trendy, and doing CrossFit because Lawrence does it, or eating paleo because Pete does it, or going grain free because Cindy does it, rather than going, well, what do I want? Is that what you feel like the trend has almost not maxed out, but people are beginning to realize that they're going, well, it's great for them to do it, that's cool, but the question is, what do I want for my life? And I don't have to be perfect in every single area of health and wellness. Is that what you're leaning towards?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that people identify with different presenters and different authors on certain topics and subjects, and I think people are always looking for something new to follow or to cling to help them feel better. Yeah,
because we like variety as well. There's only so much of eggs and greens that you can do before you come to Damo's house and you have kale eggs, and it's like the same ingredients but done differently, and it's like, it's so refreshing. So we're like that with most areas of our life, aren't we?
Yeah, we just want a little bit of variety. And so you just look at all the different trends, and each trend tends to last somewhere between 5 and 7 years. We're just approaching that 5-year mark now for paleo in Australia. And so we should see that there'll be some kind of shift. And I'm cool with that, but there's some principles from that we should all take away that have been great lessons to learn. And the same for, dare I say it, hopefully I don't get struck down, but the low fat thing, there was some lessons to be learned in the low fat thing, particularly around the way we might cook. We don't have to use oil to cook with.
Yes.
And then, there's things that we learned from the vegan movement and the Fit for Life movement, and, back in the early 80s.
Harvey and Marilyn Diamond, was that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they were Fit for Life, but just a little bit before I'm going to say before our time.
Definitely. Well, my mum actually put me on I think at one point she was doing...
But they're very strict. This is the thing.
So strict.
Yeah.
So strict. And then, acid alkaline. And so all of these sorts of eating programs, there's pearls of wisdom. And there's some consistent themes. And then we find that when we investigate longevity, so when we look at the Blue Zones, for example, with Dan Buettner, he talks about what are the commonalities between each of the eating programs. And then we've investigated aging within Australia, the United States, the United Kingdom, and we've looked at the things that maintain people's ability to age well. So when you combine all of those things, there's some really powerful things that come out of that.
Just on this, in an upcoming episode of 100 Not Out, you'll be listening to an interview with Dr. Mario Martinez, and he talks about a common, to really simplify it, a common personality type of people that age well versus those that don't, and it adds a whole new dimension to the philosophy which we talk about on 100 Not Out. So keep your ears and eyes open for that. So again, do you feel that the theme is that like you said, we could go from one fad to the next, but if we don't actually shift our philosophy about ourselves, we can just become OCD on paleo, and then OCD on vegan, and then it might be OCD on grains, or it could be whatever it is. And if we don't shift our behavior from that obsessive perfection mindset, then it doesn't really matter what fad we're doing, because we interview people that on 100 and Out, which are not into fads at all, but they're living great lives. Do you feel like the theme with the conversations that you've been having is more to take things less seriously, or to shift your standards? What do you feel like the theme is that people are beginning to respond to?
I think people are starting to respond to what fits best and feels best for them.
Yeah.
As opposed to, being forced into, we've all got our own particular shape. Let's say it's square, and we're trying to put it into a round hole.
Yeah.
So everyone's going, okay, paleo template, okay, vegan template, okay, vegetarian template, okay, Atkins template. And that's really not a human experience.
And it's hard to integrate that template into your friendships, into your family, into your workplace, into your kids' parties, into your Saturday night 40th birthday that just comes up, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's a glass of wine there, there's a piece of bread there, there's some rice over there, there's some, oh my gosh, there's a chocolate cake, do I have that? And it feels like people are suffering almost from decision fatigue, based around, in this case, example, nutrition, because of the template. And some people say a template means that it's easy because you just get to say no to everything. But my view is, in terms of human nature, we're not a species that is designed to say no to everything. Some people go, no, well, we're not saying no to everything, we're just saying yes to the things that we want. But I think there's a part of us, and some people will disagree, but I almost feel that like 80-20 is almost like an innate way of living. And if we suppress that 80-20 within ourselves, we're going to, and using DeMartini philosophy, but we will express that rebellion, for want of a better term, somewhere else. And you see that so often with diet. Someone that was vegan, and then they have a crash, and then they go straight from vegan to having cheeseburgers. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
And there's that constant repression for years, and then there's that equal and opposite expression afterwards, and it's like, whoa, what if we could just, and we talk about this a lot, lower the volatility in these areas of our life?
That's exactly right. And I think that, I hope that that's where we're heading. I really do. But the reality is that there'll be another fad come through and sweep through wellness, and we'll need to be across it. We'll need to be able to understand what it is that is all about and why that is the case. We've had the sugar thing. We've definitely had the fat thing. The next thing I suspect will be protein. So we're talking
as in protein's bad.
We'll hear that protein's bad for your kidneys. We'll hear that too much protein's bad for your hormones. We'll hear that too much protein causes XYZ. We'll hear
too hard to digest, too long to digest. Well, we go back to the good old, if you have a cow, it's stuck in your system for
7 days.
That's right. Or was it, I don't know, maybe we got it out to 7 years when when the marketing really
that was chewing gum. I think it was chewing gum. If you swallow chewing gum, it stays in your stomach. But I think we're going to find all those sorts of things again, and I love that. And my hope is that at the Wellness Summit this year, we'll discuss all of that, and people will be left, not pondering anymore. They'll be left with some clarity around what sorts of things they could be choosing to enhance what their goal is, and help them move in, towards their goals. because I think that we've kind of all just done this thing, not necessarily mindlessly or blindly, but we've kind of just jumped on wellness because it's been the trendy thing to do, which is fine. It's totally fine. It's just that it's good to have a reason why you're doing it.
Yeah, I think as you talk about this, and I think about the excitement, I think about, people have so much fun at the summit because they love being around other people, and you're around hundreds of other people, which you may not know from a bar of soap, but it's comforting that there's so many other people in the world that see the world in a similar way to you.
Yeah.
But I think what you're also suggesting is when you come back home and you see the media spruiking in you diet, or you see the media spruiking in you something, we often talk about high on emotion, low on intelligence, and low emotion, high intelligence. Food's become such an emotional thing for people. It's good if we do this and it's bad if we do that. And that again, high emotion breeds low intelligence. And I think the summit is a great opportunity to really, as fun as it is, we really want to raise the intelligence factor, that personal empowerment, to go, look guys, when you leave here, there's going to be another fad. Between now and the next event, and we'll talk about next events, between now and the next event that you go to, whether it's a Wellness Couch event or any other event, there'll be something new to go on to. And the key is do you remain intelligent and use your critical thinking to go, well, that's great that there's a new fad out there, but is it in my heart what I want to do? Or do you go, you know what, it's great there's a fad out there, but it's great for everyone else, but it's not for me. I mean, you and I talk about this a bit with CrossFit. Like at this stage of our lives, I just don't want to do it. It's just not in my urge to it. If I did it, it would be a real push. It's not a pull. I'm not feeling like I really want to. But you know what? Having sauerkraut, I love going to the fridge and just, double dip. I love going to the fridge, getting a fork and having my sauerkraut, right? My mantra, my one nutrition goal for this year is when in doubt, sauerkraut. I don't have to complicate it.
Love that.
It's just so easy. It's like if I'm hungry, I'll just get sauerkraut. Because I know, I haven't really had any gut checks. I've got a pretty strong gut. But I know it's not doing me any harm by having sauerkraut instead of a piece of bread or something else which I just don't need, right? But I think when it comes to health and wellness and the shift that you're talking about with the Wellness Summit over the years is that we've become, not that we're low on information, there's so much information, but at the same time, we actually guide people over the course of the 2 days as to how to feel empowered about yourself so that you take the information that's important to you and don't leave going, oh my gosh, I've got 200 things to do. I've got to start a Thermomix and use a blender and get a juicer and start dehydrating and start fermenting and all the rest of it, grow a veggie garden and start doing CrossFit. And it's like, whoa. I think we do a really good job at saying, guys, everyone's got different interests here. Choose from the list what's important to you and take that home and inspire the people around you with that, because that's what allows people to live their best lives, seeing you live your best life.
Yeah, totally. And I also think that at the Wellness Summit this year, people will leave knowing what are the fundamentals. What are the things that we actually really need to do?
Yeah, rather than like the hack. I'm like, here's the latest, greatest 30-second hack to make yourself invincible, right? That's right? Just so you know, guys, you can't hack your relationship with a 30-second conversation. You can't hack your health with a 30-second,
intervention.
I did have a, what's the incredible company coming to the summit that does? Fire Tonic. Oh. I had a Fire Tonic this morning. It took me 2 seconds to drink it, but it lasted for quite some time. It was incredible.
Gee, it gets you going, doesn't it?
For everyone coming to the summit, make sure you go to the Fire Tonic stand and have a sample. It is remarkable. It blew my mind. I was doing the ironing at the time. And I was like, sure, I'll have it. Whoa! It absolutely supercharged. It was remarkable.
It was unreal. It's unreal. I love it. Yeah. Don't have it when you're eating forage, though, because the flavours don't blend well.
It's like brushing your teeth and having a coffee. I don't recommend it.
Doesn't really work well.
Damo, we talk about when the next event is. We're just about to wrap up this episode, but it must be said, this is the last summit that we will be doing in Melbourne for quite some time. So for those of you that are in Australia, all I'm going to say is, if you haven't been to a summit or you're thinking about coming to this summit, please don't say, well, I'll just go next time, because right now we can't actually even tell you when next time is. So at this point in time, this is the last Wellness Summit in Melbourne. This is September 10 and 11 at the Melbourne Convention Exhibition Centre. It's an incredible venue. I have not had one bit of negative feedback on having it at the Convention Centre. It's been at Crown for 3 years before that, and when we moved it to the Convention Centre, everyone was like, this is the bomb. They even thought the green seats were Wellness Couch themed, that we covered every seat to be Wellness Couch. It's just wonderful that there's green seats and it's tiered, so you get a great view from wherever you are in this plenary.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yep, don't think that it's going to be there next year.
I don't want people to take it for granted, you know. And
people have, haven't they? Like, the amount of times after a summit, people go, "Oh, I wish I'd have got to it this year. I'll get to it next year."
Yeah.
And then the same people say the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I would urge people to get on board and get there this year.
So go to thewellnesssummit.com, folks. There is a $100 discount for 100 Not Out listeners. Just enter the code 100 Not Out Summit 16. That's 100 Not Out Summit 16 for $100 off there. All of the details, all of the speakers. We've got 12 speakers, 22 podcasts, a world-class range of exhibitors in the health, wellness, personal growth space, all at the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre, September 10 and 11. Full details at thewellnesssummit.com. Great man, thank you as always for your wisdom on this beautiful episode at 100 Not Out HQ.
Thanks,
Thoroughly
Marcus.
enjoyed it.
Great.
And folks, please go to thewellnesscouch.com. Check out the entire range of wellness podcasts available. We would love it if you went into the iTunes store, gave this podcast a 5-star rating. That allows people all over the world to see 100 Not Out. It moves the podcast up the rankings. That's how iTunes do their charts. So please go to the iTunes store, give us a 5-star rating, and let people know what you think about this episode. Until next time, folks, thanks again for your support and continue to make the rest of your life the best of your life.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/The Wellness Couch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives. Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.